Never seen a human in the flesh. I rub my teeth on CSS and I'm not proud I'ma wear the dress with a bargain host, no URL envy. But every day it's like retweets, Google juice, flipping in a Slack room, backslash body class, fresh in my bedroom, we don't care. We cut the Calypso in our dreams, but everybody's like WordCamps, make core, WordPress, VIP, Jetpack, dashboards, plugins and funnel links, we don't care.
Folks, we played a song. That means it is the beginnings of something awesome. This is WPblab. It is Thursday. It is 7:30-ish, and we are about to hit the go button and make this happen. Today, we're going to be talking about a group in Orange County, California called Women Who WP. I'd imagine at some point here, this is going to be like an international type effort, right? This isn't just like, oh, we're just going to do something in Orange County and that's it. So, I'm going to set the bar really high, and then we'll kind of work our way up from there. So, great. Before we fully begin here, and before I introduce the two ladies on the bottom here, Bridget, tell everyone about you and yourself and what you do.
I am a Twitter nerd, and I just wrote a blog post last night on bridgetwillard.com/blog on how to determine if your Twitter account is good or not. Totally subjective. You have now entered the subjective zone. People ask me. I finally decided to answer it. Feel free to send hate mail to Matt Cromwell at mattcromwell.com since he threw me to the bus in the advanced WordPress group for posting about backward compatibility. Feel free to send hate mail to Matt at mattcromwell.com.
Nice.
Hi, Matt.
Nice. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me over at jasontucker.us. I blog over there. I do a lot of different stuff over at WPwatercooler.com. If you go over there and check that out. We have 3 different shows there and one kind of web page. We do WPwatercooler, which happens on Mondays at 11 a.m. Pacific. Then we do this show, WPblab. This is on Thursdays at 7:30 Pacific. And then we also do a really interesting thing I'm starting up. We're going to see how well it works. It's kind of a beta test at this point. But we're doing a thing called WP Show and Tell. So if you start something interesting and you want to kind of get out there for the world, do a little demo and kind of explain how it works for people, you can go check that out over at WPwatercooler.com/WP Show and Tell. That's it. So, Bridget, do a little intros here. Tell us who's who and who's what and what they do.
So, on the lower portion, you have 2 of my favorite people on the planet, Jen Miller and Elizabeth Shilling. And they're entering the Plugin Palooza for Orange County WordCamp. Woo woo!
Nice.
And they had this really great idea and asked me to tag along, so I said yes.
Very cool.
That's the short version.
What was the great idea, Bridget?
That's what the moderator is going to ask you. I'm part of your group. I can't ask all the questions.
Wow, so the
moderator. I don't know.
The male in the room. The male in the room. He's the moderator. All right.
I didn't call you the millinator. I just
said
you
an honorary member.
Honorary member. Awesome.
Well, we're going to find a way to get you to our group so you can do the Facebook Live thing.
Yeah, totally. Why not? So let's dive right in then. So where did this start? How did this start? What's the reason behind it? And kind of give us a little like elevator pitch of what's going on here and how what are you guys doing?
Should I go? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. So how did it start?
Yes, you should.
A few months back, there was an article that was published, and some of the women who I really respect in WordPress were mentioned in it. And I had read this article and found that they weren't being presented in the best light and was a little bit disturbed by that because that's not the culture that I think of when I think of WordPress. I think of WordPress as very, everyone supports one another and helps everyone get a leg up and learn together and grow together. And Elizabeth and I were talking about it and how part of the reason that article probably was even created is because as individuals, as women, we're not a collective group. We're not, we go to these WordPress events and we are just individuals. And we started thinking that it might make sense to put together a group where we can just support each other. And that way we're not feeling so isolated if something like that happens. But that article was not the impetus for it. It really got me thinking about it. And then we all started talking together. And after one of our other meetups, actually pulled together a group of women, and we went to lunch together and started talking. And it seemed like all we were talking about was WordPress and issues with WordPress, marketing, blogging, designing, developing. How do you do this? And suddenly we were like, we need to make a group. We need to do something where we can get together over food and enjoy one another's company, but also brainstorm together and support one another.
Nice. That's awesome. That is awesome. So you guys have done a few different meetings. You've have done this at restaurants primarily, right? But now you're thinking, or you've already started to do them in your office, correct?
Okay, so we've done two, and we did one at. It was really kind of a brainstorm of, hey, let's do this. And 2 days later, we had our first one. And so we just kind of pulled people together, and some people saw it on the meetup group and showed up that we didn't even, we hadn't even personally invited. And then the next month we were like, wow, we'd grown to 50 members. So we thought we should probably have it at a bigger venue because we don't know who's going to show up. And so we went to Buca di Beppo that second time. And our group numbers actually stayed the same, but it was different people. The three of us, of course, were there, but and Priscilla was at both of them, and Yvonne was, but we had other people that were coming into the group. And so for this next time, we were trying to decide, do we go with a big venue, a small venue? And we want to be a little presentation oriented. We want people to feel comfortable bringing their computers, which not everyone felt, with water on the table, that it might be the best thing to have your laptop next to it. Yeah. And so we started brainstorming.
I see water right
my
now.
Hot chocolate, which I have spilled on my laptop, by the way. Not this one, but another one. Jason's cringing inside. And so we thought that we're going to try this and see. We're just going to bring in food so we can still have our food and fun and conversation, but also have the ability to present, with a projector or on a big screen and see how things go.
That's awesome. So let's see here. Have you seen any other groups or found any other groups are doing this type of thing right now? Is that something that's out there? And I've seen women who code. Well, I mean, I work at a church, so I know there's plenty of women's groups. There's women groups all over the place. It's
every industry. I'm just going to say, every industry has a women's group. Previously, I came from construction, and there's always women who women contractors, women welders, wherever women are, whether
but
they're
is there something like
coding,
this in WordPress that you've already have seen them doing? I mean, I've seen the women who code. That's as close as I know about. But what else? Girl Develop It, yeah.
Well, that's Well, there was a little bit of starting to get women to code in San Diego. I think a few years back, there were Code Girl Develop It is the main one with Natalie McLeese. That's big in LA. It's not necessarily WordPress. There is also Women in Tech in LA that I saw meet up, and there was over about 30 plus members in an Apple store. So there's definitely groups like this. There's been a lot of backlash, not to get too political, but there's been a little backlash of women in tech in the Silicon Valley. So it's definitely a hot topic. Women, especially with this election, you hear a lot about issues that are being talked about that aren't necessarily addressed or happen in other elections, I'll just say. So it's a really good time to talk about issues and just bring it up. I mean, not that we have to do it here, but just have a safe place too.
Well, and the conversations that we're having are not necessarily about whether we're male or female. They're more about, the WordPress.
Oh, yeah.
But what's interesting about it is that we bring, I think, a different perspective as women to the table. And in our conversation, we go a little deeper than you can at a large meetup group. And so that's one of the things that I think has been really valuable to each of us. We've all learned just in the last 2 months. And next week, we're going to be learning from Suzette Frank, who's been all over WordPress. And so she'll be able to give a lot of insight into different avenues. And I just think it's amazing to be able to.
We ordered pizza.
No, sorry, like people don't normally call me.
Wow, the wall just rang, huh? That was really weird.
No, we didn't vote yet, so thank you. Do you want to talk a little bit about how our meeting is, the format of our meeting?
Very comfortable,
or Elizabeth?
Right?
Yeah, what we typically do is we start with introductions, we order food, or we start eating, and we have 2 presenters, and we ask everyone what's something that they've learned in WordPress, in the last month, and any aha moments or any bad things that have happened that they've learned from, and we share those experiences, and I think that helps each of us.
That's my favorite
I
part.
know.
Because it sort of forces you to consider what you did learn. Last month for me I didn't realize, it was about the show actually, I didn't realize how much forms can actually do. And that totally blew my mind. I think that it's my favorite episode of this whole show because I just didn't realize that forms were that powerful. And so everybody has a different perspective. Everybody's working on their own projects different ways. Some people are more designers. Some people are more just like in our regular meetup. Some people are front end. Some people are back end. I know the difference now a little bit. And so everybody's at a different place, not just in their lives, but in the project they're working on. So,
and what's really interesting is that a lot of the women who are coming out are freelancers or own their own business, and so it's more than WordPress. It's really a support for those business functions too. I know at our first meetup, I asked a question and came back with something that I could add to my contracts that has made everything much better. And so my business has already benefited from our group.
That's cool.
So.
Definitely. Also, I mean, it's kind of interesting that the WP crowd this week has talked a lot about mental health for remote workers or freelancers. And it's to me, I don't feel like I'm losing anything by working at home 80% of the time because I go to meetups. I go to the general meetup. I go to this meetup. I go to the social media meetup. So I think that being part of a meetup is an important thing. In general, I think that's really important to be part of a group of people that you trust.
Yeah, working from home is it requires a lot of discipline. It sure does, and you also want to be very careful with it because you don't want to make it so that if you live with your spouse. I mean, if your spouse is at home while you're working, that but the way it was described. The way that it was described to me was like the second time or the third time that your spouse says, "Hey, can you go get the whatever out of the laundry," or if you can go change the dryer or whatever, you're just like, "Oh my gosh, like I don't need this part of my life being part of my work," and so it has to be tough. And then to kind of add to it, you have women who are mothers who also have kids, and if they're stay-at-home moms that are working. It's like working stay-at-home moms that are also doing all this stuff, and you have all this stuff going on. It's nuts. So it's like you're just tacking on one thing after another, moms. And so it's really great because you can get together and you have exactly like-minded people, as well as people that are having the exact same type of issues at home, in their work life, in their whatever, and you're able to talk about it. So yeah, I totally think that that this group is great for exactly that. Man, so where's ours at?
What's that?
Thank you. That's not even fair, you guys. You didn't tell me you were going to have pizza. No, but it's true, because even on our second meetup, one of the ladies said, well, we're all talking about the dashboard or this plugin or that plugin, but really, she said to me, I'm finding that we're becoming friends.
You don't like community?
And if you think about WordPress community, see, that word,
community.
I just don't like that word. I know that WordPress, I don't like the word community, because the word community to me reminds me of a Portlandia episode of a chicken farm. Okay, so I'm sorry, I just have a hard time with it. And it seems so distant, like the atmosphere. So, but it can be really distant. You know, the WordPress community is there, it's holding the oxygen in.
Yeah.
But if you're not next to somebody else, you know what I mean? It's so far away. It's such an ethereal thing. But if you have friends like Jason Tucker and Roy Savon and Matt Cromwell and whoever else, if you have people in your life, that's different than just the community, like the atmosphere. It's just too far away for me. I'm more of a tangible person. I want to call up Jen Miller and say, Jen Miller, I need your help.
I have a question that's related. I was wondering,
it's a little different than
who in WordPress
the community.
Community? What word do you use instead of community? Group?
She doesn't have one. She just doesn't like community.
I don't know. It's just a weird word to me. I'm sorry. I'm new. I'm kind of new still. So I'm like about
who
a year
in WordPress
It's just
inspired
I'm having a hard
you
time with
when
it, 'cause I
starting
think
out?
it's too macro.
In the community. Yeah, well, I guess all of you. I want to know.
Who's that? You mean
Well,
Jason Tucker?
Okay, I'll go for it. So for me, I didn't have any inspiration in WordPress. What is in the community setting to start. So what ended up happening is that I got stuck at some point in one of my WordPress sites that I was building, and I was just going, how do I fix this? Like, what do I do to fix this problem I'm having? So I started doing some searches online. Come to find out that there's a meetup, and I'm like, what the heck's a meetup? I don't know what a meetup is. Okay, I'll go check out this meetup thing and see, what it is. And so what I ended up doing with this meetup, she went frozen, so she'll jump back in just a minute.
Oh, I'm like, how did we get up there?
It's okay.
Keep going.
So what ended up happening is I needed to find community. And I started looking around and come to find out that Steve Zenkett had a meetup that was going on in Huntington Beach. And so I show up and I'm kind of like, hi, and I look around the room and I have no idea what I'm doing. I kind of walk into the room and I'm just like, oh, and this place was just overflowing. He had way too many people trying to get into this. Like, we were getting to fire code levels of just too many people in this one little room. And come to find out that they're talking all about WordPress stuff. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is exactly what I needed. And so that's how I found community in WordPress. But this was years after using WordPress. I was using WordPress for so long. And then come to find out that, there is this whole community that's involved in WordPress. And, maybe I should get involved in it. And, I kind of found my niche there and found the things that I could do for that, for that group. And lo and behold, what ends up happening is, I start going to these meetups and, I hated the fact that people are talking all this really great stuff, but no one's like taking notes or recording it or putting it on something called a blog. This is, what WordPress is all about at that point, right? And it's just like, what could I do to be be more involved in this community? And so what I ended up doing, and we're going to use community all the time now, Bridget. So what I ended up doing is I was like, I'm going to do the thing that no one else in this place is doing. And that's, I'm going to sit here and record the meetups. So I started recording the meetups, and people are like, wow, this is great. I want a copy of that. And then I'm like, I should figure out how to put this on the internet. And then it just slowly but surely, we ended up doing all of that and was able to get people on and start recording their stuff and getting it up on YouTube, and people were just super stoked about it now.
Amazing thing to watch happen.
I loved it.
When People were
What's that?
donating to that campaign. I cried like a 13-year-old girl to raise the money to buy the little machine thing to do it. Like, it's not really a camera; it's like a machine camera.
Yeah, there was this whole. Well, I won't go into the entire thing. I'll put a link in the show notes.
WPmedia.pro. I'll put a link.
What ended up being, yeah. So what ended up happening is I had this evolution of me recording our meetups, and I would tell everybody about the ways I'm recording meetups, and I'd show up with these crazy contraptions that people are just like, "What the heck are you doing with this thing?" But that's what I was doing in order to record the meetup. So I was kind of running on really cheap methods of making this happen, and that's what I did. So we did this whole meetup thing where we're able to get people to donate, and I'm going to end up with a camera, and we'll be able to use that thing to
It was
record
funded
this
in
stuff.
24 hours, so that was pretty awesome. And they did use a really great plugin called Give. Yeah.
Give.
No, I'm not. It's not that I'm against the WordPress community because I think it's amazing. But I'm just saying the word is too atmospheric for me. I think is a better way to describe it. So how did I get into WordPress?
Rich, how did you get
I started using WordPress.com in 2007 when I started using Twitter, and I heard about it from Leo Laporte on the techguy.com. Or it might have been MacBreak Weekly. Probably MacBreak Weekly. And then in 2013, my friend Pam from Pam and Marketing was going to come from New Jersey to Orange County to go to something called a WordCamp, the shirt he's wearing. And my friend Carol and I were like, what's a WordCamp? And she goes, doesn't matter. It's $40. Just go. So we did, and we liked it. It was really interesting. Social media managers are always having to integrate with websites, and then having your own site built on WordPress, which mine was built finally last year. I just kept going to WordCamps. And in 2014, I would say that I've had more of these impactful moments, if that makes any sense. I
cry all the time when I'm
to me, like Alex Vasquez is kind of like my Obi-Wan Kenobi. He wasn't the Yoda that was always with Luke, teaching him the actual Jedi skills. But he was.
Yoda also doesn't have hair, so that doesn't help either. So.
But there
Alex
have been
has nice
infrequent yet impactful moments that I've had with Alex Vasquez. And in 2014, he gave a talk at WordCamp Orange County that discussed if you don't value yourself, nobody else will. And this was at a time when I was really thinking I need to start getting paid for my work and not my time. And so that's when I realized I needed to dig myself out of Alcatraz one blog post at a time. So I did it, and I finally built my first website in April of last year after WordCamp San Diego, because of desktop server, which everybody knows I love with all my heart because of that. Yeah, dig myself out of Alcatraz. Roy's asking. So I was in a really bad job, and it felt like prison. And I was kind of isolated because of that. So it was because I kept going to WordCamps that I realized, oh my gosh, I have valuable social media skills. I started going to SMMOC, and because I broke out of my isolation, which was kind of like a prison, that's when I realized, hey, I am kind of good at this kind of stuff, and maybe not the website, advanced custom fields, JavaScript stuff, but like writing, teaching, social media, that kind of thing. And so, I started doing some work for WordPress, testing plugins and writing about it, and they hired me in December. So the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, you build up a business with Twitter and the website that you made in WordPress and getting
That's what I'm saying. I dug myself out. I did a bunch of side work.
Awesome.
I dug myself out of Alcatraz. I didn't sleep. Those guys. If you ever watched the movie Escape from Alcatraz, Not really,
The sharks,
but like
the sharks,
it's a Clint
right?
Eastwood movie from the '60s, and it's kind of slow moving. They're not fast moving like we have. Movies are fast now, but basically he starts getting rain jackets, and they glued them together at night, and he realized on accident that the stucco was coming off in his cell because of the moisture in San Francisco, right? So he stole a spoon, and he realized he could just start digging his way out of the wall, and then inside it by tweeting. So every post, every tweet, every blog post, I was making my way out of there, and some people helped me. So so the community, I came upon the community by going to word camps. Then I just started going to the meetups this year. I did it backwards. You're supposed to go to the meetups first.
This is true.
Don't do as I do. Do as I say.
Oh boy.
Hey,
Oh, man.
how'd you get in?
So I was working at a WordPress company. I was project manager, and one of my developers kept saying, "Jen, you've got to go to this meetup with me." And I said, "I don't have time to go to a meetup." And he's like, "No, really, you need to go." And I said, "Why don't you come over for dinner? You can have dinner with me, and then you can go to your meetup." And so time and time again, he tried to get me to go. And finally I said, "Okay, fine, I'll go." So the one day I go, he didn't go. But everyone was so welcoming and was just, it was a great environment. And I learned so much that I realized that I was missing out by not attending. It was a hard night for me. Mondays just don't quite work for our family. And so I ended up watching it online a lot when Jason used to video it. And when he stopped videoing it, I realized that I needed to make a change. I actually reached out to him and said, "Jason, are you doing this?" And he said, "No, not anymore." And so then I started actually physically attending the meetup at that point on a regular basis.
I can hear you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I'm
Can
sorry.
you
I
not hear
muted
us?
myself because there was an echo.
Oh.
What I said is $500 a month, and you said no. I said, "No, fine." I was going to charge her $500 to record it. Nope. I know.
Actually,
Might have been worth
that
it.
might have been worth it.
Oh boy. Yeah, this is true.
Depends
'cause
on
if
what was shared in the
if
meetup, right?
It's
How
sunk, then that's not going to help you any.
But no, it's been great. So lots of amazing people all congregated in one place. And then so I went to that first meetup, and then I started watching it online, and then I went to a word camp. I don't think it was the green shirt one. Is there one? There must have been one before the green shirt.
The orange shirt one.
The orange shirt one?
There was an orange shirt. Mm-hmm.
It's 2013
No,
was
before that one.
Oh, you're talking about
that.
the shirt that's
One with the ice cream. With they have like mobile ice cream there. That was my first word camp, and it was amazing. It was a fascinating experience for me because I had no idea that tech people could be so cool in such a large group. And so it was a good place to kind of get my feet wet.
I agree with you. I feel like we really hit on a really generous community.
Hyper-local community.
I would call it
like
either
the
a populace or
hyper-localness
a
of the
commonwealth or
atmosphere.
even a turf.
Commonwealth.
Commonwealth of WordPress.
It may even be a nation at this point.
A nation.
A nation of
A
WordPress.
nation.
It very well could be an
I
association
like
or a
WordPress
neighborhood
Nation.
or even people. A district. I'm reading a list here.
Oh no! Are you on
Thesaurus.com.
Wikipedia? Or did you
Oh, it could be a stomping ground.
Wikipedia.com says. Oh, man. I like collective. No, it's just funny. You know how you just come on a word and you're like, "What? This word?" Like robust. That's another word I'm trying to get used to.
I'm sorry, my neighbor's dogs are going nuts with my dogs. I'm muting myself. My apologies. Bridget,
Okay.
Okay, so does anybody else want to ask a question? Do we have any questions from the audience? Would anybody like to join the open seat? Would somebody like to?
Curious, join us.
Well,
Yeah.
as long as you're not in Starbucks.
Well,
Oh,
Robert's
that's right.
in Canada, which
Okay,
is
I
close to
have a
Starbucks. So,
Hello.
Hi, Robert.
what's up, Robert?
Well, I just
What's
kind of
happening?
wanted to talk about. It was really weird how I got involved in WordPress, actually, because
Tell us.
women. Oh, right. Sorry, is this women in WordPress?
Yeah, but you know what? Don't even look
don't
don't
have
even
to
look at the chat. Just take the screen and drag it off to the side, and don't look at the chat. But tell us how you started. Yeah,
Pay
tell us
no
how you
attention
started.
to the peanut gallery.
I actually worked in like old school media as like a photographer. So, and then
Wow.
I, like where I had a deadline every day to get a newspaper out. And then I found out, like I moved back to the West Coast, found out what I was supposed to be doing, with my life again. And, and then, so I said, I'm going to, study to become a web designer. And in that first week, the very first course was just like, okay, you're going to start a blog and you're going to go on WordPress and you're going to WordPress.com and you're going to start blogging about stuff. And I was just like, my God, this is just what I left. Like, I don't want to be reporting anything anymore. I want to be building it. So I also was still recovering from a broken leg at this point. So I was like, well, I don't really want to go around anywhere. So I was living in like Coffee Central in Vancouver. So I started up this coffee blog called the Vancouver Indie Coffee Scene. And it was basically just all the coffee shops between the subway and my house, which were like 8 of them, I think. Yeah. Like, well, I was a kilometer from my house, or like, yeah,
It's like 12 or something. It
miles?
keeps changing.
3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, the Canadian.
Or no, it's like no.
We
Oh my
didn't
God,
reach the
I don't
metric
know.
yet,
It's
friend.
my God, American, figure it out.
I'm
So
just giving you a hard
then
time. I'm sorry.
I started writing this blog, and I got more traffic than any one of my classmates combined because of Vancouverites really like
I bet.
coffee.
They like coffee.
That's what happens when it rains.
So
I like coffee.
I actually ran that blog for about 5 or 6 years. And then I shifted from WordPress.com to WordPress, self-hosted and the whole 9 yards. And then I started meeting other people in WordPress and
Oh, have you gone to any camps?
No.
County word camps or Sandy?
They have provinces
guys
up
have
there.
had
They
one
don't have,
go
they don't
on
have
sale.
counties.
Last
No. Well,
no, Vancouver just
no,
had
Vancouver
a word camp.
didn't.
Did you go to it?
Vernon did. Yeah, I didn't.
Oh, Vernon.
Yeah. Sorry to burst your bubble
sorry.
there, but I just wanted to be clear.
Oh, it's okay. To those of us in the United States, Canada is Canada, and so it's hard
It's
to
up there somewhere.
differentiate. Wait, British
Well, there's
Columbia, is over by New York, right?
Oh,
And then there's like
Just kidding. It's totally a joke.
everything else, and then there's like New York, right? Anyways, so,
Right, exactly. There's Europe.
I went to my first word camp,
Somewhere.
and I met tons, and I actually met a lot of female developers in Vancouver, and yeah, like there's that.
Vancouver?
You
I
do.
know them. I know them.
Yeah.
There's so few of
No,
them that we know them.
No. Jason, I'm
Well,
getting trolled more here than I do on the water cooler, okay? Like, Zingy isn't even here, and I'm getting
We're
trolled
sorry.
more.
This is why the women have dinner together by themselves because
No.
we like to
I just
talk.
found that there was actually a lot of female developers in Vancouver that were building on WordPress and stuff. And
Like
Christine Rondeau, I know that she isn't really all that active in the forums anymore, but like I met her at my first WordCamp, and man, the influence that he's had on my development skill has been, amazing.
That's awesome.
And like I've had a couple contractors in the Vancouver area, and I have to say most of them have actually been women. I got swamped with work like this past week, and so I called up one of my former contractors who's teaching at a school in Vancouver, and she was like, here's 4 people who I know can do what you want them to do. And I called one of them up and met at the cafe, and like 4 hours later, she was using my my Git bot that I talked about in at a WordCamp, and the whole 9 yards. So I mean, it was really great.
That's awesome.
What else did it? Yeah. Oh, now I live outside of Vancouver, so I don't have to take a dog sled to where I'm going because I don't live in the Arctic. But I have to take a.
Okay. Yeah, that would be really remote work. How many dogs does it take to get to work?
But I have to take a ferry. But I have to go. A lot of my. So I don't go into Vancouver all that much. And that's a whole nother story. But what I want to say is a lot of the community I've had in WordPress has not necessarily been Vancouver based. It's been like talking with Jason Tucker on WPwatercooler, and also it's like Jeffro on his
Tavern. WP Tavern.
Oh, you've been at WP Crowd? What about WP Crowd?
Haven't been at WP Crowd.
Yeah, well, they have a lot of Canadians.
Well, I like being the rogue in the room, actually.
Canadians are pretty cool.
So, I mean, a lot of my work has been remote, but also a lot of my interaction has been remote as well. And so it doesn't really matter really where you are. No, there's like, in my small town, there's like 4 people who do WordPress, I think. And we met like 3 years ago at the pub, and that was kind of it. It was
Jen, speaking of remote work regarding this stuff, have you guys looked at doing something where you can get people that are, in the middle of nowhere who are looking for community, who are looking for some other person in the neighborhood to get involved with your group? And how are you going to approach that? And is it me showing up to your meetup to like hit record and that's it, or like what's the strategy for that if you end up with that type of thing? What are you going to end up doing to solve that?
Well, we've actually talked about that. Luckily, we have Bridget on board, right, for social media. So Twitter, Facebook, people can find us. We have a Facebook group, we have the meetup group, and then we have a Facebook page as well. But we did kind of set our sights a little higher. Yeah. I wouldn't say that we've set ourselves to an international level, but we did file paperwork to
check you out.
Become a nonprofit.
Dang.
You're here first.
So you guys, it's like you started dating, and then like 3 minutes later, you're like, boom, nonprofit, I'm done.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you something about Jen Miller.
So we filed our paperwork on April.
It's already official.
Wow.
It's out there. Sorry. So we April 11th was when we filed, and now we're just going through the process to move forward on that and try to get like 501(c) status, so that we can
and stickers.
Yeah, she wants stickers.
That's what's really important. Is the sticker, not the community
And we're
the WordPress world.
Yeah.
The atmosphere of WordPress.
The space.
But we're starting at home.
Community that keeps the oxygen in.
Galaxy.
Bring you back to your local, hyper-local community. So we're actually one of the sponsors for WordCamp Orange County, so that we can start to be more involved as a group in that community. And we're going to be having a little pre-breakfast, just, I don't know what they call it. It's a tailgate, but it's not, because it's before the, I guess, tailgate to WordCamp, like a
Do girls tailgate?
Meet and greet.
That's a
WordPress tailgate. Wouldn't that be
that's a football thing, right? Because I don't watch sports ball, so yeah, I don't know.
And then a little tailgate.
Okay, anyway, so we're having a pre-meet in the parking lot, and we're inviting women from all over to join up with us. And if they're coming to WordCamp by themselves and they want a buddy, we're going to have like a mentor program with someone who knows people in the Orange County community who can take them through and help them feel comfortable at the event.
I have to say that my first WordCamp, Priscilla of PCGS, just give a little throw out there. She really helped me a lot with bringing me in the community in my first WordCamp. Well, actually going to San Francisco. She invited me to the WordCamp in San Francisco. I think I was already at the Orange County WordCamp at the time, but going to that San Francisco one back in the day, that was really great, a great experience. And having somebody who can connect or just kind of is comfortable being there, or having someone with you who's just a buddy to hang out with is awesome.
It super sucks to go by yourself.
Well, still there's t-shirts and food and beer.
Yeah, the swag's worth it.
Just saying.
No, I think everybody should go to WordCamp, but if you find yourself alone at lunch.
Right. But there's plenty of people just walk up to them, say, hello, I'm such and such, I do this, and it's awesome. Let me tell you about it, or tell me what you do, or just talking about whatever.
But if you don't want to do that and you want to come to our meet and greet tailgater party before WordCamp even starts, and you're a woman watching this and you just want to have somebody who's your buddy that day, join us and we'll set you up with someone who will show you a good time and get you to the after party.
Okay, but thanks, Robert.
Hang
But now that you're talking about WordCamp Orange County, let's just put the pause for one moment. Tickets are going on sale on Tuesday at noon. Okay, the first WordCamp I went to sold out in 1 hour like it was the Rolling Stones. I cannot be more emphatic about putting that, refreshing the browser and sitting at your computer at noon Pacific time. You've been warned.
Crazy.
Yeah, there might not be that many.
Yeah, because it sells out fast. And then you're just like, whoa, what are you going to do? And what you end up having to do is unfortunately, you're going to have to sponsor. You're going to have to throw even more money at the problem, which is great for the WordCamp, but it sucks for you. But yeah, if you neglect to go and buy, you're going to have problems.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello.
We sure can.
Good. I'm speaking quietly because I just got my boys to sleep. But
yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
I know, right? It's such an achievement every day. Like, is everybody sleeping? Yeah. Can I listen to music with bad words in it now? Are we?
Well, thanks for joining us during your work time.
Can we say bad words?
No, we don't really bad word. I said ass once and I felt
the swear jar only has 3
weird,
titties in it, so we're doing pretty good.
I didn't say it.
Are we
so
sure?
tell us how you're involved in your WordPress community locally. Are you?
I'm in Kansas City, and
okay.
I got my start with WordPress in 2005, really late 2004. I was building custom content management systems for my clients, for small businesses, and I was tired of writing the same code over and over again, but with slight variations. So I actually did like 6 months of R&D. I was like 23, so telling everybody I was doing R&D just made me feel very professional. I was like, yeah, I'm really researching this. And I didn't want something compiled, like movable type. I looked at a lot of options. Drupal was around then. There are several that I looked at that have completely evaporated. WordPress was the one that it looked the most like my code that I was already writing, which was excellent in one sense, but also revealed how terrified I was at the time of object-oriented programming. Because like I had looked at Ruby-based solutions and stuff, and I was like, okay, WordPress isn't going to make me do that yet. I'm not ready for that yet. But I loved it, and I started a little agency called Utopian.net. So circle around, I sold Utopian.net in 2011. I moved back and forth between Kansas City and California, came back to Kansas City, and my friend Say, you know her from the water cooler, she said, look, you really need to go to a WordCamp. And what's funny is I had tickets to the first WordCamp in San Francisco, and I gave them to a friend because I was getting married that week. And the marriage didn't last, but I'm still coding for WordPress, so I really regret it.
You go, girl. That's awesome.
You know,
where's Russ when you need him? Russ is always like saying t-shirts. The marriage didn't last, but I'm still coding on WordPress.
That would be awesome.
That's a hashtag.
Oh,
so
boy.
I need to start speaking at WordCamp. So mind you, I've still never attended one, and I was like, speaking seriously. She goes, yeah, everybody's so friendly. You're really going to love it. So I submitted a topic like right under the wire. And I got accepted, and I was really panicking. I had tiny babies. This was 2 years ago. And I'm not from here. I don't have any family here. So I didn't really have anyone to leave my kids with. But I made it work, and I spoke, and it was just so much fun. And the people I felt like I suddenly, you have to remember, at that point, I'd been coding for WordPress for 9 years, and this was the first time that I had spoken to anyone in real life besides Say, who knew what it was.
Sorry.
Wow.
That is so cool. What was that? Anyway, so that really lit me up. It was just wonderful to find my tribe. So yeah, that's my story.
Aww.
And then
And now you're connected with us.
And that's why I'm so excited. You guys are going to be a nonprofit. Right now you're out in California, right? Okay, yeah, but now you can do this all over the place, which is great because I have a real I have a dude origin story for my programming background, and I don't know a lot of female developers. So,
because most of them are probably in their homes developing and not necessarily in the workplace.
Yes, there is that, definitely.
Well, the reason why the clapping was happening in the background is I pulled up your talk because I wanted to put it into the notes here, and everybody started clapping instantly. So I was like, oh, okay, there you go. Yeah, that was a good talk. I remember watching that. That was back in 2015, right? Yep.
I am sponsoring WordCamp Kansas City this year. I am not speaking at it. And I'm excited to be a sponsor, to be an attendee. This will be the first year that I get to go and actually sit through all the sessions I want to sit through. My kids are potty trained, so more people are willing to take them for a day.
That's great.
So you spoke at a WordCamp before being able to attend one? Wow, that's
so I'm not
crazy.
the only one who does
I mean, that's awesome for you, but whoa, that's crazy.
Exactly.
I love it.
And it was amazing because what I liked about having Utopian.net was my niche was artists. So I worked with a lot of women. And at the time, I really got to my tagline was making the web easy for artists. And I really got to do that. And so getting to speak to a room full of people and kind of untangle something for them was really gratifying. I was like, wow, I have all this experience and I can do something with it. I'm not just, because when I got back in the workforce after I sold my agency, I didn't start working for WordPress companies. I went back to doing coding. I went back to being a PHP developer, and I hated it. I've been in the WordPress community the code community for 9 years, and I I was working on a project in 2012, and I had made a promise to myself in 2005 that I would never have to write COM style ASP ever again. And in 2012, I found myself writing a templating system for a legacy COM style ASP system. And I was like, what? Not right. So I started looking at other agencies, went to work for a WordPress agency, loved it, but I'm going back to doing my own thing, and I'm really excited about it. So
That's awesome.
Great. Your own thing? Do you mean your own agency?
Yeah, essentially, though I'm hoping to do more like education and such, and more like if I'm going to be coding, more product-based coding than agency-style coding. I've been a developer for the last 20 years, and I'm tired of like solving the same problems over and over again. So I'm excited about what's going on in the front end. I'm really excited about what's happening in responsive design, and I want to put my focus there, and really in how people engage with their devices and what that means with WordPress. And yeah, so it's all good.
At this point, it's all about JavaScript. So as long as you can pick up JavaScript and run with it, and you'll do just fine.
Yeah, you might be able to help me with. I'm rounding up some people for the WP API. And are you going to be at the
There you go.
Today? Did you say you were going to come up for?
I think so. I actually submitted to speak there. I haven't heard back about it, but my family.
Get her.
My family's out in California, and I'll be going out a lot this summer. So yeah, I'm planning on attending right now, whether or not I speak.
If only
it's one of the best ones.
It really is.
LA was amazing.
Biased.
I could not believe the warm welcome I got, and every time I attend a WordCamp, and mind you, I've been now to 3 WordCamps total, or 4, and I've never been able to stay for an entire day because I've got little guys. Every time I go, I learn something that absolutely changes the trajectory of my work for my lifetime. And that's phenomenal. I mean, where else do you get an opportunity to do that, And not only that, but like, I make friends, I meet people, and I like these people. You don't usually spend your life working on computers because you like people, but these are wonderful, warm, welcoming people. This is fantastic. I'm not as good at doing this simultaneously as Bridget is. Like, I never even see you.
Well, I was a sexy. Well, you were doing PHP. I was a secretary. So, like my boss will say, he goes, well, can you send an email to blah, 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 and I'm on the phone with them. They'll go, do you think you could do that today? I go, it's already done. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, I can do 2 things at once. It's the magic, right? When you're a secretary, you're like doing 10 things at once. You're like, oh, okay, put the
magic,
on.
or is that ADHD? Magic. It's magic.
Oh man.
I have a question. I do have a question. Actually, let me choose one. I have a couple.
Okay, Barbara Walters.
She came to the meeting tonight with her own set of questions.
Okay.
Do they have anything to do with women or WordPress or the internet?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
Well, okay.
What kind of pizza do you like, Jason?
What was your favorite song? Yeah, that was one. Okay, but no, really. Okay. So, what did you do, or what have you to overcome to be successful? I can speak successful.
It's okay.
In WordPress or with WordPress.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, you're
hot
on the hot seat. That's the hot seat.
I got a couple more too.
Right.
She's like, oh man, was there a kid I heard screaming? I gotta go.
I'm trying to find a good way to phrase this, because I think that I have had a lot of privileges in my life. However, I started my career as a professional developer when I was 16 years old. And so for the first 10 years of my career, any company I walked into, I was usually the youngest, and I was usually the only woman. When I went to doing my own thing and chose WordPress as the platform from which to do it, I had to sell my company 7 years later to understand the impact my work had had and to realize that I had done some good work. So confidence, I think, is that it was such a, my world was my little office. My clients were appreciative, but they never really knew what went on behind the scenes. They didn't have to. That's how easy I made it for them. I was doing managed hosting as well, but like with shell scripts, not with like control panel messages. Wow. So, and I wasn't talking to anybody else who was doing this. Say was building websites and she was hosting them with me, but I didn't know anybody else who was doing this. And so every day I woke up feeling like I was doing it wrong. And when
That's so sad.
I know, right?
I'm so sorry. I feel terrible. I should have been your friend 10 years ago. We could have got together.
Exactly.
We're here.
We're here now.
I think
Keep going.
Come to California.
I love California. I'm a California girl. I was born in Crestline, near Lake Arrowhead. So I'm like the mountain. Yeah. So that was it. Just confidence. I didn't, like I said, I still have met in my career maybe 5 female developers. I have attended a few events thanks to Josepha Hayden. She hooked me up with like the girl development community here, Tech Sheroes. And there are a lot of women who work for Cerner and Sprint who are mentoring and doing things like that. And they're literally like the first, female developers I've worked with or met. Even I haven't even been working with them. And I at the time, and if you'd asked me about this 10 years ago, I'd have been like, who cares what their sex is? It doesn't matter. I didn't realize it mattered until I got a little bit older and am raising 2 sons. And I'm like, I found my mom's resume. She died of cancer 10 years ago. I found my mom's resume. She spent her career, she was an office manager. And on her resume, she had learned Fortran and COBOL in like 81, 82. And I looked at that and I went to her and I said, Mom, you could be making bank right now. I was like, do you still know Fortran? Because seriously, like you could be on some mainframes, getting some cash. And she laughed it off, but I had a computer at age 6 and I started writing BASIC, and like it was never a question to me that I could play with it. And the first thing my stepdad said to me when he gave it to me is, you can't break this. Do whatever you want.
Oh, really?
Don't break it. Yeah. And when you're 6, you get toys, and I knew exactly how expensive that computer was. And we were not wealthy by any stretch. And the first thing he said to me, you can't break this. You just.
But he let you use it, right?
What?
He let you use
bedroom.
it. Right?
He set it up in my bedroom on a desk. It was. Yeah.
I love that. That's awesome. That's like so reassuring. Because I had the exact same type of thing for me, because I got my first computer when I was 12, and my grandmother gave it to me with my great uncle, and he told me the exact same thing that was told to you, is like, you can't break this thing. It's going to take me about, we live 25 miles away from each other. I'll have to drive to your house to fix it, but you can't really break it.
You young whippersnappers.
Like, awesome.
We started every day.
Hey, I was learning Harvard graphics and Lotus 123 back in the day on that thing.
We started out with a Pong.
Yeah.
Commodore 128 when I was like 10.
My Commodore 64, and you'd get the magazines that would have games in them. And when I was 8 years old, I found an error in the magazine that kept the program from running, and I debugged it myself.
Your first pull request.
That was the most amazing feeling. That is because I couldn't break it, but I didn't know I could fix it.
Wow.
Especially when you're 8 and you're surrounded by adults and they're always right. You're like, whoa, somebody made a mistake and I made it better. That's amazing. That was a good feeling. And by the time I was 10, I was way more interested in the graphics programs. I mean, I ended up going to art school. I did not do well in math in school, but to me, programming is way more about language, and I am very good at languages. Which was why object-oriented programming was a hurdle for me, because I'm self-taught. And so when I was just talking linearly, to the computer, it was a lot easier than abstracting out programs. And I had to study it for the first time in my life. And, that was 2 years ago. I got over it. I learned it. I did my thing. But, just the way I approached it. And I think it helped being solitary and it helped being alone because I was very sensitive to negative feedback. And I wasn't getting any feedback, so I flourished. I was just like doing my thing. So,
wow,
yeah.
Cool. Wow,
that's awesome.
Because
the whole thanks for sharing thing.
Okay, I'm just saying. This is why we have our group.
Yeah.
We don't say these things, even though we have a mixed group here. We have all of our favorite WordPress people in this room. Sometimes it's just not the format. It's not the format of the general WordPress meetup. We want to talk about Beaver Builder. We want to talk about Gravity Forms. It's just that's the purpose of it. So having this as an alternate, not
right.
More like in addition to, because we all still go to the regular meetups,
Right, and we encourage everyone from our group,
of course,
to do so. And we actually had some that have started going there that hadn't been going that are now attending.
I know for
meetups.
sure. Like one time the general WordPress meetup got like super dev and I'm like, oh my God, you guys, I'm going on Instagram because I have no idea what words are that you're saying. But they ended up talking about custom post types and 2 days later, no joke, that was what we were talking about at work. So I was like able to say, oh yeah, custom post types have the different like root thingamabob or whatever. They're a totally different structure and no burn in there.
And now we've totally taken all of the Git commands and have turned them into like things that you just say, and it's awesome because you're actually using them in the proper syntax, so I think it's just amazing. Someday you're gonna sit down and they're gonna be like, I need you to go and do this, and you're like, oh yeah, no problem. Do.
Like
and you're
Siri,
just gonna talk to the Git.
Siri,
Git
can you build me a website
that you want. Exactly.
No, Echo has to do that.
Oh man, for serious though, Brianna, that's amazing.
Like,
and clearly, you shouldn't be talking about the Yoast plugin. You need to be talking about deeper things because you are qualified, girlfriend.
That was strategic. I know,
but I'm just saying.
Yes.
To stand in front of other devs, many of whom have actually gone to university for this. And I talked about that with saying, I said, let me talk to the beginners. Let me talk to the designers. Let me talk to the people who I've been talking to for the last 10 years. So this year I submitted a topic to WordCamp KC, and I had some family stuff going on. I only submitted one topic. It was totally in my insular little area of interest, and they were like, no. Try again. That's not what we want to hear. But it was the first time I did try talking to devs. So it'll make a good blog post. And
have you tried JavaScript a little bit? Because you said you're a new user
when I
experience,
sold my
so
agency.
I think you have.
I didn't want to write the same PHP stuff over and over again. I wanted to work with stuff like the REST API and building apps, but via the web. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about. That's what's fun.
Wow.
Well, because
yeah,
when
she's connecting with
got
you right
into
now.
this because I liked making things pretty. It's not. I know that sounds fluffy, but I came at this from the perspective that this is a brand new medium for art. We can put on a single screen, and now we can touch it. Now we made it tangible. I want to work with that. I want to touch stuff on my device, and I want to write code that responds to it. So that's where I am today. The stuff that I was dreaming about in 1998 when I was fighting with my NT machine, putting up my little pair-hosted website, the stuff I was thinking like, man, it'd be so cool if we had transparent images. It would be so cool if I could style the elements on the page to have rounded corners. We've got all of that. And we have these massive computers. Yeah.
Right? I know.
Yeah.
I remember sitting there editing photos, editing a little like 5x5 pixel box, and sitting there like, okay, I'm gonna make all of this stuff going to be transparent, and that's gonna be my rounded corner. And you're like, oh, geez. And then I'm gonna make a table inside of a table, and I'm gonna squish it over to the left, and I'm gonna squish this other one to the right. It's gonna be awesome, and that's how you made rounded corners. And now it's like you can do this like 12 different ways. Like, which one do you want to do? You want to do an SVG? No problem. You want to do it with CSS? No problem.
Jason, that's you, right?
Say again?
No, he's right here.
I think we lost Jason.
No, I'm right here.
You.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Okay.
I'm here.
We can hear.
I'm still here.
Wait, is it Bridget? Do we have Bridget?
Okay.
We're
Are
here.
we still here?
Here,
They
I'll
have to
kick him out real
refresh.
quick and they'll have to rejoin.
Yeah, that's what happened
about
to
that?
me when my Bulldog backup
All right.
came on.
Yeah, that's
It's like,
fine.
oh shoot, I forgot to pause transfers. No, that's a great story. I didn't realize that you were so Debbie. But then it wouldn't have had any meaning to me. See, I'm just the social media
Yeah,
nerd
I didn't.
that's
I didn't either.
running around tweeting, you know.
I had to approach social media the same way I had to approach object-oriented programming and removing table-based layouts from my repertoire in 2001. You know, I had to study it because I would have these accounts right as soon as the services erupted, but I wasn't used to talking to people publicly online. I was used to creating forums, you know, little hidden forums, and I would talk to my friends, but we'd always do it privately. And I was like, these things have a long memory. And early on, when I had my first website, I registered my first domain and I put my actual address and phone number on it, and somebody tracked me down and came to my house. Yeah.
Oops.
So, and
That
nice
happened too. It
person,
sucks.
you know, a little not great with boundaries, but nice person. It ended well. It's just after that, I didn't want to talk online so much. You know, it kind of freaked me out. So, but now with the social media, I'm a lot more comfortable with it. I had to learn it. I had to study it.
Yeah.
It wasn't a talent I possessed.
Well, for me, I was like Rapunzel, and I'm not using this to exaggerate. I was like that. Twitter was my hair. It was the only way I could talk to real human beings. So,
Oh, wow.
Twitter was how I got out of being a secretary. Twitter was my way out.
Yeah, you
Can
can
we
hear
hear you guys?
We can hear you.
pushing me around over here. She wanted to be in front of the camera, and then she went to the side. What is that?
Yes, we can.
She drew a picture. She wants you all to notice.
What did you draw?
It's a happy face.
I can't see
Happy
that.
face?
It's like a smiley face.
Anyway,
All right.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
You're the special guest. You're the ones that had
we were a little
questions.
frazzled by that. and
That's
had-
cool.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah.
It happens. It's just blab. That's how blab is. Blab do what blab do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as either Bridget or I are on, this thing will continue.
Yeah.
But the second
But I
both of
had
us
the
get
same
kicked off, we're done. That's it.
Brianna. Is that how you say it? Am I saying your name right? Okay. I'm like paranoid saying people because all I do is read the names, so I never say the names or hear anybody saying them. I had that same experience at LA. I just came in on Sunday and I just felt like, oh my gosh, I felt so elated. I had never felt that happy in my whole life. I felt so happy, it scared me.
Oh my goodness.
Like, I felt like somebody could take this away. And I feel like, I think I found my people, you guys. I'm not a programmer, okay? It's hashtag not a dev. The joke now is hashtag Bridgetable. Like, can I put this information in the advanced custom fields? You know, as long as I could see it in the dashboard, I'm usually okay.
I think that I don't. I was so blown away when Alex said you were managing all of the social media for that event, because I had never seen it so competently handled. People would post or share something on Facebook. Bridget, thank you, was right on it. Twitter, same thing. I didn't know it was you, and I had met you, and I was like, wow, she is really cool. And then Alex sent out the emails after the event, and he's like, I want to give special thanks to Bridget for handling. And I was like, that was one person.
I did San Diego this year too.
I thought that was all the organizers. That was amazing. You have no idea what you taught me just by doing your thing at that WordCamp. Like, you keep looking at the coding and you have no idea what your contributions are.
Well, that's why. So I do what I can. That's my way of giving back, right? So I'm not going to build your website. And
Bridget always asks what she can do for WordPress, not what WordPress can do for Bridget.
Right, exactly. So yeah, I volunteered at San Diego this year, and I'm doing LA again. So
awesome.
They're like 5 or 6 month commitments, so I really can only do. And then Orange County, I just go. Like, I know I really should volunteer at my home camp, but that's the one where I'm like, I'm not working. I told my boss, don't sponsor it. I don't want to be at the booth. Just do the one where I don't have to be at the booth because
we have no booth, so you're good.
You're like, I want to go to Prague. So how about
we have stickers.
We're
not allowed to put them on the table, so we're just going to hand them out to people.
Yeah, it's my girl weekend with my friend from the Bay Area, like my version of Say Read.
Nice.
So, I just want to learn. I want to tweet. I don't want to work. Yeah, this at San Diego, I was doing company tweeting, the WordCamp tweeting, and I was at the sponsor booth. It was crazy. It was fun, but I like that. Like, to me, that's like a game. Like, how fast can I do this? How many things can I dominate the hashtag? Like, that's what gets me going. Like, you guys building JavaScript things that do stuff and do magic.
WordPress needs you, Bridget.
I don't know about Snapchat. Okay.
For the younger kids.
Okay, so Snapchat's
awesome.
Okay, so Kevin Hoffman's asking about Snapchat. And I know there's a bunch of people who love Snapchat.
Well,
just in general. I mean, would you ever Snapchat at a WordCamp? Now, I think what would be good at a WordCamp is Facebook Live. And I know that WordCamp.
I'm going to Snapchat right
Central
now.
Ohio.
Because I can.
What's that guy's name? Oh, shoot. Now I started saying it. I can't remember his name. I think it's Northeast Ohio. Oh, anyway, he was live tweeting. He was live.
I'm horrible with names. Sorry.
I could see his phone. He was sitting in front of me. I could see his phone. And when you're Facebook Live, it's like a square right here. I think it's Northeast Ohio. I think that's who he's one of the organizers or whatever. And I was like, this is so cool. Because all you really need is a tripod or that movie crazy thing that you're getting. But if you have a tripod, because you're not going to hold this the whole time.
You're going to hold your iPad that's like 3 times as big.
That's it. But Snapchat, the thing with Snapchat is, okay, Gary Vaynerchuk is like I have 3 people I really respect who are like the stars of social media. Gary Vaynerchuk, Scott Stratton, and Ted Rubin. And even though I adore Gary Vaynerchuk, I cannot get into Snapchat. I tried again because Jason said to. It's on my thing. I'm Bridget Willard or somebody. I don't know who I am. I feel like if you have to – okay, so I like efficiency. So I feel like if you have to use every single other social network in order to promote your Snapchat profile, why don't you just use the network you're on? Right? I don't see a strategic difference between Instagram, and I definitely don't see more eyeballs on. So I'm not into like private things. If I'm going to do all this work, it's going to be public. People are going to be able to find it. So that's for me. But I will say,
I agree.
If you are working with younger people under 25, or if you're in retail, I would use Snapchat. Because I would have coupons that expire.
You might be able to
totally
live on there though, because maybe there's younger generation that want to use it. I mean, the thing about Snapchat is it doesn't have to be that professional. You can just take pictures of, I have pizza here, or just take a picture.
I know, but then you can do that on Twitter.
So Dave Margowski's saying that in the chat that they're doing a geo filter for Orange County WordPress or WordCamp. So what happens is while you're at the event, you swipe, and then it shows you the logo for the thing. So that way you can take a photo of yourself or whoever with the logo of the event below
and
it.
Snapchat?
I'm gonna start using that account.
I might have to keep it on my
And
phone
Snapchat.
just until Orange County's over then. Somebody will have to.
You know,
talk about
one day
Snapchat
we'll get
next,
together and I'll show you how Snapchat works
No,
and
so
how
anyway,
Snapchat and WordPress.
Yeah, I just have a hard time strategically
boy.
adopting it.
Yeah. It's because it lives in the app.
Right.
That's the problem. You want something that goes
The whole reason
out
why
to
I'm doing
something
this
else.
is to get out.
And everything lives within its own ecosystem. Right. Yeah, but this isn't private. It's only private for if you are a private person. It's not it starts out as being a private thing. So which means that you need to be popular enough to get enough people
I feel like an
watching
old
it,
man.
so that way you're no longer private.
I haven't deleted that from my phone or my account. I don't have the buy-in. Okay, so you know,
Well, I think
love Google
WordCamp will
Plus.
be Orange
I'm
County
with you on that.
WordCamp will be your opportunity to grow that Snapchat audience.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not against Snapchat. I'm not saying that you guys are all sexting or anything. I'm just saying I'm having a hard time with
Well,
it.
that's what Jason's going to be doing.
I mean, it's not a value judgment. I'm just from a strategic standpoint. And you know what, Jason? You know what really made me sad?
All my Snapchats
No.
all my
'cause that would be
Snapchats
me,
of my
right? 'Cause-
dogs when I go walk them at night.
So on a previous episode, we were
They
talking about
are.
Periscope,
That's all
right?
it is.
So Periscope was super awesome. And then you had to use catch.me in order to embed, in order to save your video. And then I found that there was a WordPress plugin called Latest Catch, but it only lets you put in the last one. So I was chatting with this guy at the after party at San Diego. His name is Chris, and he made a plugin that lets you embed Wistia. It gave embed support for Wistia videos. So I was like, can you make one for Catch? And then I went and talked to the next person, like, Catch just died. You're like killing me, Larry, right? So this is the difference between WordPress and all these other platforms. This is why we love it. WordPress isn't going to turn their back on us because they don't have funding, right? They support backward compatibility, right? They're here for us. Our relationship with WordPress is outlasting marriages. We heard that today on this show, right? So when you're deciding to invest your time somewhere, should you develop your site? Should you write more content on your website that you own, which is why you're using WordPress in the first place? Or are you going to make dragon faces and stick your tongue out on Snapchat? I don't have time for Twitter, but I have time to make faces on Snapchat. I mean, I don't. That's why I feel like an old
the only
man.
thing that's gotten me back on Snap.
lawn.
I don't know. I see it as a creation tool.
Yeah.
Like you could totally use Snapchat and never actually do anything with those. You can use Snapchat to generate all the content that you want, to then extract that from Snapchat, put it onto YouTube, put it onto Facebook, put it onto whatever, and then go from there. So if you wanted to do that, you can. And I know people that do that. Every day they record their entire day on Snapchat. At the end of it, they hit save. It downloads all the stuff.
Wow, that
they
would
take
be
it
really
all.
boring
They throw
for
it in an
me.
iMovie and
Just
they
me
upload
sitting
it.
at a
And
computer
they're
and
done.
the Yoast Meta box.
Are they like time lapse it or something?
See, you can time lapse it. Come on,
Instagram
Bridget.
has hyperlapse.
We have the technology.
I'm just saying, like, at the end of the day, and that's what I'm saying. At the end of the day, we make strategic choices on how to spend our time, right? And so that's one of the reasons why I really like this group. Because as a married woman, maybe nobody else has this trouble. But for me to be gone on a Wednesday night, it has to have legitimacy. Just segueing back to our original topic here on Snapchat. So if I say I'm going out to dinner with Jen Miller, my husband's like, If I say I'm going to a meetup, he's like, you should totally go. You need that for work.
Exactly. I'm going to a meetup with Jen Miller. It's gonna be awesome. So I'm going to a meetup with Jen Miller. It's gonna be awesome.
Right? So it just because you need these things to develop your personal and professional life. And for women, I think our personal and professional lives are often very intertwined. We make friends with the person at work with us or whatever. I've always worked with men being in construction, and they all go to lunch and I'm Rapunzel left in the tower, right? So to me, to come to this community and then I go down on Tuesdays with my guys, they're like, let's go to lunch. I'm like, this is so cool because I'm totally included. So so I just want to point out that I don't feel excluded at all. I feel the exact opposite. I feel more included being in WordPress. But sometimes when you're justifying your time, it just helps that it's a professional thing.
There are a lot of supportive devs. They do happen to typically be men, but they're super supportive. In your camp, Bridge, Devin Walker, David Jesh, there's so many, Brandon Dev. I mean, just some really incredibly supportive developers.
No, we lost her.
Did we lose her again, or is it me? I keep thinking it's me. No, she's right. We have a lot of great supportive devs that are male, but they're also, I sometimes, you talked about it. You kind of you self-isolate because maybe you don't have 100% confidence. And I know for me, I do. In fact, some of the girls, I shouldn't call them girls, some of the ladies in our meetup are already like, you're so awesome. Don't say that about yourself. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we're in a really supportive community. So
I feel that I've been able to engage with, I've been a lot more open about my abilities as a coder since I started working for other companies doing WordPress. I know that's like a circuitous way to discuss it, but when I was intimidated or bullied or felt what's the word I'm looking for? Underestimated. In my younger days, I always thought it was because I was young. Because I was working with a lot of, mainframe guys. I was literally too stupid to understand when people were being sexist at me. So it really took me a long time because it never occurred to me that they would underestimate my ability to code. I always figured they underestimated my experience. And then I finally kind of wised up and I was like, no, they think you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you do tend to be right 90% of the time because you're always having to prove that you can do it.
You can't fuck up. Sorry,
exactly. My language. No, it's true because you're always proving yourself. It's absolutely true.
Yeah. So what was, I think, amazing for me at my first WordCamp was I was too afraid to talk to the developers as a speaker, but I went to the speaker dinner and like you kind of touched on this, Bridget, like I haven't been able to go to very many meetups, but I've been to a couple. WordCamp Kansas City for like the first 3 years of my son's lives was literally the only thing I did outside of the house.
Oh.
It was like, that was my one day a year to just go and be with other people who knew what I was capable of, even to, any degree. And it was really huge for me, So yeah, my first WordCamp, I met like 2 or 3 just great guys, and they were like, hey, this is what we're doing and this is how we're doing it. And I was like, seriously? And they were showing me stuff on the command line that I had literally like just read about. And so after that WordCamp, I went back home and I had my own theme framework I've had since like 2008. I completely rebuilt it from bottom to top, set up a task runner to do my project scaffolding and all this. I mean, I set up Vagrant, which I had not, again, I'd heard of it, but I never really paid attention to it. And this guy's showing me how he's spinning up, new sites and new themes in like no time flat. And it blew my mind. But it was later when I realized that that was exactly what I had never gotten working as a run-of-the-mill cubicle grunt.
Wow.
In IT departments. Was I never got to, I was always a bridge for the guys who were like seriously focused on their computers and had a very hard time talking to people. I was a bridge between them and like the marketing department. Because I could speak both. I'd be like, okay, well, this is why we need to do what we're doing over here. And that's why what I really liked doing was working with databases, but what I ended up doing, what I also really liked doing was working on the front end. So I was like, well, I'm a little better. I like being on the front end better because I get to talk to more people. So anyway, I'm talking in circles, but this is the first time in a 20-year career that I've been able to engage with other developers equally.
Wow.
And not feel like I had something to prove. I think part of it too is that I'm older, so I take a little less guff, and I don't feel like, now we have centralized repositories and things. I can just let my code speak for itself.
Yeah.
So that helps a lot.
And clearly you need to be a Blab guest speaker on our meetup. We need to figure out how those advanced WordPress people Blab people in.
All right.
No, I love that. It's so true because the isolation is a big problem. And a lot of people self-isolate. So, and then just knowing, there's a quote by C.S. Lewis, I wish I knew it better, but he says that friendship is when you say, oh, really? That happened to you too? And paraphrased, of course, because I'm not really a reader. But
that's the essence of the feeling, though. That's exactly
that when you grasp that moment, I think that's why I say community seems too atmospheric to me. When I think community, I'm thinking about the people that are in the chat room, the people that I feel closer to the community just being on Blab, and I know that we're not in person, I feel like the conversations that we have that are outside the scope of a Facebook post or a Twitter, a lot of times they start there, but having these conversations are good because every time I do this where I'll really open myself up and do a Brene Brown and get super vulnerable, and I'll say something and then I'll go, oh shit, I shouldn't have said that. I want to go back to delete it right now. And then I'll see a bunch of messages, private messages where people are saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. You have no idea how much it speaks to me right now, blah, 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 blah. And I think that when we share our experiences, it's more than just code. I think that's really what binds a community. It's the shared experience. And that's what's so great about a WordCamp, because you're just there for 2 days and it's awesome. And you're learning things and you're having these aha moments. And yeah, so anyway.
And it's equitable. It's a tech conference that costs $40. When I started out, I used to have to beg companies to sponsor me to go to things like IT Week and South by Southwest and stuff like that. And they were not anything like a WordCamp. I mean, the emphasis on making it equitable is, I think, the core of the magic. It's where the magic is. Yeah. And I had friends in LA who were saying, I've always wanted to go to a WordCamp, but I'm really not that techie. And I'm like, you literally build websites for a living for other people on WordPress. This is not a tech conference. This is about using WordPress, but it's about talking and enjoying the company of other people who use WordPress, just like you do. It's not about the code. And I kept trying to tell her, I was like, I don't even talk about code.
I think you're muted, Jason, still.
Jason's muted. That's it. Okay.
Darn it. I've been talking this whole time.
One letter. Great, Jason.
Oh my gosh, no wonder why no one's replying back to me.
The dogs.
So yeah, the dogs outside but they're gone now.
I saw you go like this, and I heard
yeah. So
my
hallway
clock
track,
like 2 minutes early.
hallway track is like the best track out there. That is the one. That is the one that you want to go to. But unfortunately, hallway track does not include the people that spent all the time and effort to show up to the WordCamp to then speak about the thing. So I always tell people, yeah, hallway track, make sure you do it. But you also got to make sure you find your like key people that you want to go see, and then find people you've never heard of before and show up in there and then watch it and go, whoa. Like you just your mind's blown because the person gets up there and you may judge a book by its cover. You may have heard them, or heard them or have them say something on Twitter or whatever. You're like, this person's just always ranting about whatever. Then they get up there and they just blow your mind of whatever it is that they're doing. You go back to work and you're like, oh, I'm going to totally do the thing that they just talked about. And so I never judge the topic names. My topic names always suck when I go in
You guys aren't marketers, you're PHPers.
Right, exactly. So it's like you go to you go and speak and you're like hopefully people show up to this thing because I called it like unicorns and rainbows and it's supposed to be about like something else. And
It's supposed to be about JavaScript, the WP REST API, and the WP CLI.
Right, exactly. So these weird things happen, and you're just like, man, I hope people show up to my to my talk, and it's awesome that they do.
No, I want to second that because for now, I'm writing about WordPress, right? So the whole reason why I even knew what backward compatibility was because I was in Kyle Mauer's talk at WordPress Day at the Nonprofit Technology Conference. I didn't know who he was. I sat there talking to him for like hours and hours, not knowing he was the host of the WP Roundtable. But that seed from March is why I go, I think this is a really good selling point. We should talk about this. Then I had to talk my guys into it. And they put it in advanced WordPress. So be kind, people. Be kind.
Be kind.
Yeah.
I'll go in and like it later on today.
Thank you. So sometimes it's about ideas, and sometimes it's about fellowship, and sometimes it's about making friends, and sometimes it's aha moments. And I always say, if you're not learning something, you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
I learned tons. I learned so much stuff at the after party. Because I was one of the sober people. So at San Diego, I was one of the sober people. That was my claim to fame. And so I just talked to people, and they were telling me stuff, just amazing stuff, whatever it was.
They were filling all their secrets. Like we learned who was doing what plugin. We had all kinds of information shared.
No, I mean it wasn't secret stuff, Dave Markowski. It was just like I got a chance to talk to Russ from Vegas, and I said, "What do you think about this?" Blah blah blah. He goes, "You know what? You need to read the code, and the code is in the codex. You don't learn." He said to me, "You don't learn how to play the guitar from a 10-year-old on YouTube. You listen to Clapton, and Clapton is the codex. So when all is filled, just go read the codex." Like, yeah, right, I'm going to start learning PHP tomorrow. But that's in my head, right? Because he said it in a way that makes sense to me. I love Eric Clapton.
Well,
yeah. So
Layla would be the Hello World. So you just got to learn that.
There you go.
PHP was the WordPress of its time in the late 90s. It originated, it stood for pretty good homepage script.
Really?
For people like me who were too lazy to learn Perl. I mean, it has grown, obviously, and it is an entirely different beast. But initially, it had that same equitable spirit of like, hey, we all can't afford to get on. We need some more open source coding, scripting, backend scripting. So as intimidating as it might seem, it had like 7 core functions, and it was intended to make making websites easier. You
never know.
Thank goodness, because classic ASP sucked.
It'll be called #Bridgetable in the Beginning repo, and you guys heard it here first. I don't know what it's going to do yet.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding with you guys because it's 9:07. Jason Tucker just had that sigh where he's going to go, well, folks,
It's time.
I know your sigh. I know you're ready.
Yeah, it's totally true because it's like because my dog is out here and he's like, dude, it's 9 o'clock. Why aren't we outside walking right now? You need to go on the Snapchat and take pictures of me. So let's make this happen already.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Well, it was awesome hanging out with you all.
Thank
I
you,
really
guys.
appreciate it. It was great that we got a full house here. We cheated and we got 2 people in one window. I mean, come on, how awesome is that?
Two for the price of one.
Exactly. So, Jen, tell everyone where they should go in order to learn more about this crazy awesomeness that you keep building. You know, you started it as a nonprofit now at this point. It's going to become you're going to be distributing all this material across the world. You're going to be sending stickers to everybody. Like, where do people begin?
Well, you can find out about what we're doing at our website, WPWP.org. And you can also, if you're local and want to come to our meetup, we have a meetup in Orange County the third Wednesday of every month.
Which is 18th.
Which is the 18th. It's coming up next week. Suzette Frank is going to be speaking to us and hanging out with us that night. So it'll be a great meetup on next Wednesday. It's going to be in Fountain Valley right off the 405 freeway. So if you're local, it's easy to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We also have a Facebook group and a Facebook page. So just
You'll find it from Women.
Yeah, you'll find it. Women Who WP. We're all over the place. You'll find us on all the major channels.
Awesome. Folks, thank you very much for being on the show, hanging out with us. I appreciate it. Bridget always laughs every time I bring out this voice that I'm going to like announce something. I love it. It's amazing.
Like, I can hear when it's over.
Yeah. Go over to our website at WPwatercooler.com/WPblab and check out all the stuff that we have going on there. Stop it, Bridget. Now she's like stone facing me.
Did you tell about the new show, WP Show and Tell?
Yeah, so yeah. Well, I did at the beginning, but we might as well wrap it up and I'll tell you that. So yeah, WP Show and Tell is a new show that I started up, hosted by me because I'm the only person that can, I guess, do this. I don't know. And so what I do is I talk with developers that build cool stuff that want to share it with everybody because Bridget says that developers suck at marketing. And I want to be kind of the marketing arm for the developers that are doing this stuff. So I know how to tweet in Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat, and I'll be more than happy to share all the stuffs with you on the internets. So go check it out. It's over at WPwatercooler.com/WP Show and Tell. That's it.
Do you want the outro? Kevin's asking for it.
Yes, please.
Yes, you need a plug-in, maybe a dev. We're solving all your WordPress blues on WPblab.
Nice. See you later, folks. Bye.